which was fitting, really, considering where she and her sisters lived. Hazel was a soft-spoken and exceedingly empathetic young lady, always willing to listen to her sister's problems and lend her support. That leaves us with Primrose. Now, she was a striking redhead with sparkling green eyes, a peaches and cream complexion, and a light smattering of freckles across her nose. She was light-hearted and fun, always ready for adventure, and doomed to be entirely driven by her emotions, which sometimes vexed her sisters, causing the three to quarrel. The sisters spent much of their time in the dead woods, exploring the mausoleums and reading the names off the headstones in what felt like to the sisters a small city of the dead. They spent hours walking the various pathways of beautiful and ornate tombstones, statues, and crypts, sometimes saying the dead's names aloud as they passed them, reciting the names off the tombstones, singing them almost like a song. With little else to fill their time, the sisters found happy occupations to keep themselves busy while traversing the dead forest. Hazel loved to bring thin pieces of delicate parchment and coal with her on their long walks in the woods, so she could make impressions of some of the more ornate and decorative headstones. She called them rubbings. Sometimes she found a name on one of the headstones particularly interesting or funny, and she would make a rubbing simply for reference. Later, she would look up the person in her mother's large leather-bound ledger that contained the names and origins of every person buried within their woods, which made her feel less alone. Not that her sister's friendship wasn't enough, mind you, but she liked to imagine some of the dead as her friends. She and her sisters were quite alone in the dead woods, aside from their mother, who was busy and sequestered away at every opportunity, occupied with her magic, leaving little time to spend with her daughters. So Hazel found comfort and company in reading about the dead in her mother's ledger, feeling like she was getting to know the people who spent their afterlife in her forest. Primrose often brought along her scarlet drawstring pouch, which contained a spool of ribbon, a small silver knife, and various wishes she had written on bright red parchment that she would hang from the dead branches on ribbons. It was just like Primrose to bring colour into their stark world, almost as if she had been created for the purpose of bringing beauty into their lives, because it did seem to follow her wherever she wandered. Primrose fancied the dead haunted their forest at night, reading her wishes while she and her sisters were asleep. She hoped the dead would love their afterlife. She wanted it to be a beautiful resting place, rather than the dull grey landscape it really was. Gothel was more rooted in the physical world than her sisters, with her eye always on the future. She often brought along one of her mother's books when she went into the woods with her sisters, a book she had slipped into the pocket of her skirts when her mother wasn't paying attention. She always took the opportunity to read when her sisters stopped to do a grave rubbing or tie wishes in the trees. Sometimes she read aloud to her sisters, but usually she just let herself drift into other worlds she desperately wanted to inhabit, the world of magic. And this day was no different.
"Gothel, move! You're blocking the headstone I want to do next."
Gothel looked up at Hazel, who gazed down at her disapprovingly. The sun was directly behind her, creating a shimmering silhouette that emphasized her ghost-like face.
"But I'm comfortable here, Hazel. Can't you rub one of the other headstones?"
Gothel asked, squinting to see her sister clearly. Hazel sighed.
"I guess."
Gothel watched Hazel walk into the brilliant sunlight, which was low in the sky and cast a lovely orange and pink glow on their otherwise dreary landscape. It was Gothel's favourite time, the magic hour.